Hey, so in this video I wanted to present a way of recognizing the true self that hopefully will be really clear and discerning, when otherwise it can be really confusing about what we're actually referring to, talking about. So I want to point out that what we recognize as suffering actually tends to be a feeling of an empty lack. Just a sense of not having something. We're trying to, of course, achieve something, get some kind of object, some kind of relationship, status. And what I see to be happening there is that what we're actually trying to fill is a hole where we believe our sense of self should be. But inherently, there is nothing there. And that's actually a good thing. That's actually the freedom of it, is that our actual sense of self, the actual fundamental self, is undifferentiated. Which means that it doesn't ever enter into any of this. It doesn't ever actually develop through time. It's prior to that. It's prior to time. But here we are living in time, this relative unfolding of events. And what we associate with emptiness, lack, is a lack of self, a lack of being differentiated, right? Being differentiated in the world as a baby. A lack of differentiation means not being able to know anything, not being able to communicate anything, not being able to meet your needs independently. So there's this immense suffering that we've associated throughout our life with a sense of being undifferentiated, of being nothing, right? How do you get love if you're nothing? If you can't communicate what you need? If you can't express yourself? If you can't meet your needs? There's so much suffering in that, in not being developed. We're born into this. We're born undeveloped, and we are developing through time. And we're going to school, and we're learning how to socialize. We're trying to find this sense of fullness of self, of being a solid sense, a differentiated self that is capable But there's this sense of lack, and we know that all the time. And there's so much suffering associated with a feeling of emptiness that we do not want to see that. We're trying in every way possible to escape from that, to separate ourselves from it. But that sense of lack, we're confused about that. It's a confusion. What feels like emptiness and lack to this relative ego self, what feels like lack to it, is actually our fundamental nature as empty, of actually never stepping into time in the first place. So it is undifferentiated. That is who we are. So when we feel this sense of incapacity, the sense of lack, the sense of emptiness in whatever moment it may be in our lives, what we're actually feeling and what we're reminded of all the way back to our infancy, it's actually the same thing. And we don't recognize it. It's the same undifferentiated true self that is always with us, and we don't recognize that that is who we are. So we go out into the world and people say, I'm a person, I have all these things, I've done all these things, look how smart I am, look how successful I am. And you see that and think, I need that, but I don't have that because I'm actually worthless. I'm empty and I'm worthless. We're reminded of that again and again, living in this life. I'm empty and I'm worthless. I don't have value. I need to get value. That lack of value, that undifferentiatedness, that actually is your true self. You don't recognize it because it hasn't been pointed out clearly, or you haven't felt clearly into that pain and suffering that is this emptiness, this sense of emptiness that people say when they're at rock bottom. I feel so empty. I feel like nothing. You are nothing. That's the point. You were never anything to begin with. And you're trying to fill a hole that's fundamentally a hole. And it's not a lack. It's neither a lack nor a something. It's not an emptiness or a fullness. It doesn't enter into duality in the first place. And that is that is it. That is who you are. You can recognize your sense of suffering in any moment. That is a portal, that's a doorway into recognizing what you're actually feeling is your true self, which you are seeing in that moment as a sense of lack and a need to differentiate. That's not actually what you need to do. Feel into that. Go into that and see that that's always been who you are and always will be who you are.